Welcome to the Dish, and my co-host, Luann Perschau. Luann's in studio today
Yes, I'm in person
in the big city of Brownton, Minnesota.
Yeah, I traveled all the way from Florida.
And Canada.
And Canada, just to be with you in person.
You're sweet.
Well, it's been so long since we've been together. I missed not podcasting with you, and I thought, it would be great to do this in person together for our listeners.
You know, the other thing is that we, Terry and I always joke about this, but these podcasts are as much therapy for us as anything. Watching these soap operas.
I know. It's we get lost in their world where we don't have so many problems and worries when we see what they're encountering each day.
Right.
It gets our mind off of our own things.
That's right. All right, let's start out by let's talk Young and Restless.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've talked about them, so we have a lot of catching up to do.
We do. A lot of ground to cover.
Yes.
All right, let's start out with Maria and Tessa. Mariah, I'm sorry. I'm getting worse at botching names as I get older. Mariah and Tessa realize their adopted baby has a hearing issue that likely can't be permanently corrected. Devon, because he went through this whole hearing issue. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. When he was younger, and he had an illness, and that's what caused his. And, he had the little hearing apparatus. I remember that on his head. Yeah, and Mariah and Tessa's little baby, the first sign was when she didn't wake up from the thunder and the lightning that was happening. And then I think Esther did something too, where she kind of was excited, and they weren't seeing response. So yeah, they were talking with a doctor about this, and with Devon, getting his feedback too on this, and realizing what's going on with their little one, and so I hope it's something that can be fixed. The doctors ask them to remain hopeful.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll see where that goes. I don't know. What do you think of that storyline?
I know. It's just, things were going so well for Mariah and Tessa, so it doesn't surprise me that they put a little something in there to give them a little bit of a storyline, because Mariah and Tessa have also been kind of MIA, missing in action too, for a while, and their storylines have been not that great. It's one of those, when you're watching it, it's kind of like, get through the conversation, but so this gives them a good storyline, and Mariah, from what I understand too, is pregnant in real life. So it'll be interesting to see, how they incorporate this, because at some point she'll probably, come off the show for a little maternity leave. But so they're getting some airtime, with their little baby. So that's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I agree. I feel like they had played really a pretty much cursory role lately. Mm-hmm. And Mariah, especially with Sharon, there was just kind of those two chatting back and forth.
Right, and Sharon bringing her into their company now.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll see where that goes. Mm-hmm. The Young and the Restless, the old Abby is returning.
Really?
According to our research department.
Okay.
Melissa Ordway is her real name.
Yes.
She's played Abby for quite a while, and I had noticed, I thought about this the other day. That's part of why I dug into it a little bit. Mm-hmm. But she's been noticeably absent from storylines lately.
Yes, and she is too. It's been more Devon, in his house, and Abby, she hasn't been around a whole lot lately, but that's interesting.
So what we found out is that Hayley Erin is her name. She's the old Abby, and I just vaguely remember this. She played the old Abby before Melissa Ordway did.
Okay. And I'd have to Google that or look at her old picture, because the Abby that's there currently has been there a while, and it's kind of like, that's the only one I remember. I kind of remember when they switched out Ashley's. I always remember what now the original Ashley is back. But I don't remember the original Abby, so, I and our listeners will have to check that out.
I did pull up a picture, and she does look vaguely familiar, but I agree with you. It's it's been a long time since the old one would have been on there. Actually.
Right.
All right, so what we actually did learn, and this is per Soap Opera Digest, to give them credit, Hayley Erin will actually be a brand new character involved with Newman Media, and her name's going to be Claire Grace.
Oh, it'll be interesting to see how they bring her in. How are they going to introduce her into Newman Media? Because they had already brought the character that is Audra. How they brought her into the show, and she's been a good addition.
She has
given her some good fodder for Kyle.
Fodder. That's one way to put it.
And so it'll be interesting to see how they introduce her as a new character, not like what Abby.
The old Abby,
not the Abby.
And I suppose they can get by with that because this character has been gone long enough that even big list watchers like us don't remember necessarily.
Yeah, and this Abby is pretty young, so it never really occurred to me that there was another Abby until you mentioned it. It's like, that'll be nice to see, and how they're bringing her back. That's kind of interesting how they're bringing an old character back as a new character.
And I'm kind of all for bringing in maybe a new storyline, so that's a good thing.
They need to bring in some new characters.
They do,
so that's good, and keep them for a while.
As you and I have talked about, the Young and Restless storyline wise has been a little bit, at times, it
drags.
It drags on.
Yeah.
And if they could bring a good juicy story,
it's
soap, that would be good.
It's kind of like the dialogue is. Sometimes it could be on the line of even being a little boring. It's just like, come on, let's juice it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Mix things up and give us some good something good to watch.
And the two that probably have done the two best storylines along that thought right now would be Victoria and Nate.
Yes.
And Audra and Kyle.
Giving us some juicier storylines.
Because there's some shenanigans going on there. Plus,
that's what we like to see. It's like, hey, we all live in a business world, where the other companies are taking over other companies and that kind of thing, and people coming and going from companies. So
there's a lot of reality to that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so next let's talk about. You brought this one up to me, Luann, earlier today, but. The Young and the Restless writers have confirmed that Veronica Redd, who will be bringing Mamie back, and she's the original Mamie.
Yes, their housekeeper.
Yeah, the housekeeper of the Abbott Mansion. She's going to make her first appearance on Tuesday, September 26th.
Yes, and because they brought her back once this summer during their 50th anniversary celebration, and I think everybody was happy to see her. The people who are watching the show, and it was kind of like she probably got good response from listeners and viewers that bring her back, and so it sounds like they listened to them, and they're bringing her back.
Yep.
And I don't know, what
does this mean? That's the big question. What does it mean?
Because I think she's there to help either listen or solve problems or fix something, because the Abbott household still is a not very happy family. They're trying to make peace with each other, but between Jack and Ashley and Billy, things aren't quite settled yet.
That's for sure. All right. So Lily's rekindled romance with Daniel is already hitting some bumps with Heather back in town.
I know. Heather was making some moves on Daniel the other day. They were talking, and Phyllis, of course, I don't get why Phyllis was part of that she was sitting in with them, and Daniel even asked her after Heather left, what are you up to?
And always trying to play matchmaker. Meddle in everybody else's business.
Yeah, because, I got the impression when Heather was, coming back into the storyline that she had moved on, and Daniel has kind of screwed things up in their marriage, whatever it was, and that she was over him. She was living in Portugal. Well, maybe now that she's back, maybe
feelings are rekindled,
and she's seeing him as a different man, and their daughter is liking to be with Daniel. So
Yep.
Maybe he's looking more attractive to her now.
Women.
I know, hard to figure out, right? We keep you guessing.
That's why there's books written on this.
Yeah, right. How to.
Yeah.
How to books.
Yeah. All right. So next I want to talk a little bit about Nate's moral centers become seemingly taking a big hit for quite a while now. Mm-hmm. And he turned on his family first.
Right.
To claw his way up that corporate ladder. Well, now he's trying to do it with Newman, with Victoria, and what's going to be, I got some more questions coming up on this later, but him hitching his wagon to Audra is going to be, we'll have to talk about that more.
Yeah. I don't know if that will be a good thing or a bad thing, and, Victor wants to give him a chance, but Nick and Nikki are both very hesitant to where Nate comes in, because they just still don't trust him. And Victoria's, and I think Victoria's torn a little bit because she really cares about Nate, but she listens to them, but I don't know if she'll take anything further. But I don't know what's going to happen with Nate. You just can't trust that guy.
And I think Victor's sly like a fox. Mm-hmm. So him doing this restructuring is a way for him to keep tabs and especially by having Nick at Newman if the restructure all comes to pass. Yeah,
because Victoria in today's episode even said, "Okay, Nick, now you're going to be between me and Nate.
That's right.
How do you feel about that?" And he said, "Well, I could keep an eye on you both." Too.
And that's exactly, I'm sure, what Victor, he doesn't come out and say that, but he's sly like a fox. All right. So in light of that, and we'll just continue that conversation, is that Victor's kind of tired of all the infighting in his family.
Yeah.
And, at the core of this is Adam, of course. But they fight like crazy.
Yeah, they just, Adam and Victor just can never agree. And Adam does act like the victim many times.
He does.
A
lot.
And I know he gets frustrated with Victor, but it's like, Adam, you bring a lot of this on yourself. And Sharon points that out to him very well. And Adam knows that. And I think he's his own worst enemy, too. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. All right, so what Victor decides to do, and he was really pissed off that day when he was talking about to Nikki that I'm gonna end this today kind of thing, and like he always does, he summons all the kids over to the Newman Mansion, and then he breaks the news, and he really let them have it.
Yeah,
and he said, this is how it's gonna be, and I think Adam did for sure. They were trying to argue with him a little bit, and he just shut it down. He goes, "This is the way it's going to be."
Yeah, and I think first they were all surprised that Adam was getting the boot, and then that he was putting Nikki, in charge of everything. It's like you work under her now, and it's kind of interesting how he did this all while Victoria was away.
Right.
She even said in today's episode, "Did you do this all because I was so far away that you didn't even call me?" And he said, "Well, this is what I set my mind to do." And at first Nikki wasn't sure if she wanted it, but she's taking control of it now. She's like, "Yeah, I think I will," and she's in charge, and she's keeping things in check, especially with Audra.
I think she realizes that somebody, either her or Victor, kind of has to be at the top to figure out what exactly is transpiring here, with everybody.
Yeah, because they could be on the outside looking in, where the others are so in the middle of it all that sometimes you can't see what's happening.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what Victor ended up announcing was Victoria was going to now report to him, so she's not...
That's a change.
She's not the top anymore. Nick would be, as you mentioned, would be second in command. And Nate would, and I love this, and Nate now has to report to Nick and Victoria. That's going to be tough.
That's going to be tough for him because it's going to be...
He can't maneuver like
Exactly. He was able to maneuver Victoria a little bit easier than he will be able to Nick.
I agree. And then, like you said, Luann, Adam got kicked out of the business.
Yeah.
I was surprised Victor did that.
I was too. And you could tell, and in today's episode, how he felt really bad about having to do that, but it was Adam gave him no choice. And at first Victoria was kind of flippant with her answers to Victor today about Adam, kind of blowing him off like he's always been this way. It didn't surprise you. And Victor said, no, it really did hurt me to do that. And so
you could see that.
Yeah, and you could see that. And Victoria apologized. She's like, oh, I understand. She said it is difficult. But, and Adam is, already got his little wheels turning, and, it'll be...
He's always coming up with a new angle.
New angle is like, okay, what is he up to now?
I like his character.
Yeah, he does
if you think about it, if he wasn't on that show, it would, we were talking about the storyline earlier, but it would be even worse. I mean, it would be slower.
Yes, it would. It would. Yeah, he plays his character very well. He stepped into Adam very well.
Yep, he has. Mm-hmm. All right. So Heather, we talked a little bit about her already, but Heather is staying in town for now.
Yeah, she's going to take on some pro bono cases, and one of them might be Summer's divorce from Kyle. And it was like, oh, that was interesting. And so, it'll be interesting to see what Heather's character, will she reunite with Daniel, or will something new happen? Because Heather is a very nice looking woman. She's a lawyer. Her character,
she's classy.
She's classy.
Yeah.
And I think she could be some good competition for some of the other characters like Victoria or Nick even.
Mm-hmm.
she I think she holds her own. That's how I would say. She holds her own there.
Yeah. I hope. Like you said, I hope they mm-hmm. kind of write her into the whole. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think they will.
I hope so too. Yeah, I think they will.
All right, let's go to Super Sudsy questions.
Yes.
All right. Luann, where's Adam mentally, and what is his next move?
Oh, that's a very good question, because Adam was, I think, shocked that Victor let him go, one. And I don't
think he thought he'd ever do it.
No, I don't think he ever thought he would do it. And then he thought, well, I think he was excited about being a partner with Nick and Sharon. But with all this, and then in today's episode, I think he was saying how much he's lost, and I think he's down to his lowest point now, and it's like, where do I come back? How do I come back? And
he has had a lot of turmoil in his life.
Yeah, and I couldn't remember in today's episode, because he was talking about something starting at a company, starting at the bottom and working his way up, and I don't know if he meant
Newman.
At Newman. Okay.
At Newman.
And
he was trying to convince them that he'd be willing. He's turned over this new leaf now, and he'd be willing to basically start out at the bottom.
And you kind of go, how long will that last?
Not very long.
Because he's like Victor. He likes power.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like to answer to anyone.
He is a lot like Victor, actually. Mm-hmm. All right. So, I'm gonna go with what you said on that one. I agree with everything you said there.
Okay.
Is Nate going to screw up with working with Audra and cost him big time with Victoria and Newman Enterprises?
Yeah. Well, now it's going to be a little tougher, because if Nick is in his, he has to report to Nick too. But I think he will still do something, because unless he gives up, but he wants that power too. And how Victor realigned everything makes it a little more challenging for he and Audra, both of them. And so, I don't know, what are your thoughts?
I'm thinking that, I think Nick is going to be a bird dog watching Nate.
Yeah.
And that he's going to watch his every move. And I think he's going to be tailing him. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to find out that Audra, that they're working together. And he's going to be the one to upset the apple cart, I think. And
I think he's going to realize, because he knows Audra and Nate kind of, they're not in cahoots. I don't mean that, but that they're talking a lot about the company and different options and opportunities there. And I think he's going to realize that they are very, what's the word I'm looking for? They want to move to the top no matter what it takes, but it's a family company, and that's the part that's going to make it more difficult. If Nate is looking to make a move like that, because it is a family company, it's not going to be as easy for him to do that.
I'm going to spin off of this question a little bit, and I'm going to say that Audra is going to find out that there would be an advantage to her getting romantically involved with Nate. And she would use it when she needs to use it.
Kind of like she did with Tucker.
Yep. Yep. That she would love to have that over his head.
Yeah.
And she would somehow create some kind of evidence that it happened. I don't know if that means camera. I don't know.
Yeah.
But something to prove that it actually did happen, or Nick walks in on him.
Yeah.
But I can see, I've kind of been waiting for this to happen, but it hasn't happened.
That she'll use him more.
That she'll try to seduce Nate.
To get
Audra will.
To get her position, because, like in today's...
She's losing her grip.
Yeah, and, with Nikki now in the position that she's in, she kind of... Audra had to step down from her position,
right.
Because of that, too.
Right, exactly. All right. So is Victoria going to strike back at Victor for the Newman structural changes? As you had mentioned, Luann, she was out of town and had no input or knowledge of the changes that were made to Newman.
I think not that she understands why Victor did what he did, but I don't think she'll strike back immediately. She might, as she gets more into it. Nick is putting dampening everything for her more, that she's feeling like he's watching everything that she's doing, watching what Nate is all doing, and she's going to become very frustrated with that and go back to Victor and say, why did you do this? It's not working out. And feeling like she's not in control anymore. Because the buck stopped with her, and now it doesn't anymore. And she may not like that she has to, report to Daddy about everything again.
I think what's going to happen here is that Victoria is going to be so angry at Victor and become vindictive, and I think she is going to actually talk to Nate and say, you and I are going to overthrow this company. Really?
Kind of like an Ashley thing?
Yep.
Where it kind of
or Tucker. Yep.
Oh, really? Okay,
yep.
That's a good one. That's a good one. They could. Something would really have to upset her, though. If it's some situation.
She's power hungry, though, and the fact that Victor took her power away, that's
and he did.
She's going to be upset about that.
Mm-hmm. As she starts to become more aware to her of what the changes entail.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. She just heard the initial details so far.
Right.
All right, next question. Is there something up with Heather going after Daniel? You alluded to it, Luann, but Heather was, I thought, flirting with Daniel.
Yeah.
A little, not a lot, but for sure, kind of.
Yeah, so maybe, there was a part of her, maybe she, when they were together before, she loved him but didn't like what he did, or,
I think he was kind of a hot mess.
Yeah, he was a mess, and... that didn't make him attractive at all. And now she's seeing him in a different light. And it's like, maybe because the encounter between her and Lily was very, very cold. And kind of clumsy. It was kind of like, it was really awkward.
It was very awkward.
And she said, well, I need to go. So it was kind of interesting, their connection.
Well, and I think she is going to pursue him that's going to escalate in my mind, that Heather's going to escalate her pursuit of Daniel.
Yes.
And that is going to cause a stir, obviously, with Lily.
Yes.
And I thought the writers were kind of setting us up the other day when Lily and Billy were sitting down talking. They were kind of trying to make it look like these two are hitting it off a little bit.
I know.
Because they haven't been for quite a while.
Right. And
so I think that they're going to line this thing up so that those two couples, there's going to be something happening there.
Something happening a little bit, because it was kind of interesting that all of a sudden they were sitting there chatting together, and they were just having a nice little visit together and
smiling and laughing and just having a good old time.
Yeah, so who knows, where they'll take it. I don't know.
The detective in me always kind of looks at, because I suppose 30 years of soap watching have taught me this. They usually set these stories up, where they give you little hints.
Yes.
That they're going down that road.
Yeah. And it will be interesting to see, if the Billy, Lily, Chelsea, and then
you got Chelsea in there
too. Yeah, and then you got Chelsea, and then Heather, Lily, and Daniel, the common denominator is Lily. So it's kind of like, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
And we talked about this earlier too. Lily is pregnant in real life.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, her character. So down the road, we'll see.
She must be early.
Yes, I think she's very, and
yeah.
I think she's very early in that. But and next time we'll have to talk a little bit more about Jack and Diane and Ashley and Tucker. It's interesting where they're trying to make up, but it's not quite there yet. They're working on it.
Yeah, and that storyline got really hot, and then now it's kind of paused a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But yeah, you're right. We can only talk about so much in one podcast. And it's been a few weeks, so we had a lot to cover.
So there's a lot of characters, but I hope they keep several of these characters, the new characters that they've introduced with the show, because it does add some new storylines, and I hope they just don't kill off anybody for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said, they regurgitate a lot of storylines, so I like the Heather thing coming into it.
Yes.
This new Hayley Erin that's going to be coming into it, being a new character.
Yes.
Looking forward to all of that.
Yeah, and then my one other little note that I have is, I don't remember his name in real life, but Danny Romalotti.
Oh, you mentioned that.
Yeah, will be making appearance.
Michael Damian. Yes, he will be making appearance at the end of September. They're bringing him back. Apparently when they brought him back this summer, too, a lot of the viewers of the show really like seeing him back, too. And now that Christine went to Portugal to talk with Paul, and I'm sure Didn't she mention that they were going to get divorced?
Yes, I think she said, well, we haven't been getting along. He wants me to come to Portugal and we'll talk. So I have a feeling she'll come back and say, well, Paul and
that's
I talked,
over.
It's over. We're getting divorced. And then Danny will be back. And then they could start some storyline.
I wonder if you think they'd keep Danny on for a while, or is that just kind of a
He's open.
quick?
It sounds like he's open to staying.
Oh, he is, huh?
If the writers will keep him in the storylines, he'd welcome coming back.
Oh, wow.
And staying on for a while. Mm-hmm.
You know what that tells you, like you said, when they bring these old actors and actresses back, it tells you there's a lot of long-time watchers of this soap opera.
Yes.
Because if you think about it, it's been, 20 years?
Yes.
Probably since Danny's been relevant.
Right.
Or on the show.
Right. Because it's been, I would say at least that.
And Mamie, too. She's been gone for a long time.
And some of them are beloved characters.
They are.
We've all, you knew them. They were in the different storylines, and they were good characters, and it's nice to bring them back. And, maybe that was the good thing about this being the 50th anniversary, that, they took a look at those old characters, brought them back, and realized how viewers do miss them. And it's good to see them. It's kind of like seeing old friends that you haven't seen for a while.
Yeah, for sure. Any other thoughts or predictions before we close here?
No, I kind of threw in my few things there with, and we have our little friend Phyllis that hopefully she'll keep giving us some. Hopefully she grows up a little bit with all this, and we'll see.
You can always hope, Luann.
You can always hope. I can always hope.
All right. Well, let's close. And thank you for traveling all the way to Minnesota to do our podcast.
I was looking forward to it, and looking forward to doing today's podcast with you, and this was great.
It's wonderful to see you in person as well.
Yes, it is.
All right. Until we dish again, keep it sudsy.
Oh, yes.
And we're out.